Okay, get the applause out of the way. Evening, folks. Welcome back to another Wednesday edition on the FFN network of i12 GIA, Real Talk with Real People. We're going to do legal immigration versus illegal immigration tonight. You're going to have myself, Hogman, my partner Rennie, and my other partner Nomad. The three of us have an extensive professional and personal background in this area. So when the call-in number comes up, please give us a call. We'd love to talk to you for this evening. So first off, we're going to run a short clip of Biden's latest misadventure, which concerns giving parole to the spouses of U.S. citizens who cross into the country illegally. I'm not exactly sure how you do that. So we can go ahead and run that up real quick, and that'll start the show.
Should illegal aliens be granted amnesty and a path to citizenship? Biden says yes, and he's cooking up plans to do just that. More than 10 million illegal aliens have entered under Biden, and he's helping them to stay by blatantly abusing parole. Parole authorizes the government to allow a foreigner with no visa to enter the U.S., but only on a case-by-case basis for a temporary period and for a public benefit or humanitarian reason. Biden has abused this authority to release over 1 million illegal aliens into the country. Now he also wants to do this for those already on U.S. soil. This latest trick is called parole in place. If you are here illegally, receiving parole is your golden ticket, because then you can apply for a green card and are put on the yellow brick road to citizenship. We have a dire need for true immigration reform to secure our borders and prevent Biden, Mayorkas, and future open borders politicians from abusing the law. Should illegal aliens be granted amnesty and a path to citizenship?
Okay, that pretty much covers that. The list, like I said, the last one is going to be amnesty and parole for illegal aliens that already have spouses here. I have no idea how that's going to work, but it's a mess, though. Hey, okay, start. Rennie, you want to go ahead and fire us off, buddy?
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm showing up, viewers tonight. We'd like to have you call in, talk to us about this stuff. It's a pleasure to be here with my partners, Chet and Nomad, and producer, Blaze Man. I'm going to start out legal, illegal. I think the estimate is 3.5 million getaways. I think the last number I heard was either 120 or 180 for a million were Chinese, or 1,000 were Chinese nationals. And with illegal immigration, security concerns are a major point of contention. Many Americans worry about the potential for illegal immigration to contribute to crime and national security risks. And I will give a few examples of that. They also advocate for stronger borders, border enforcement, including physical barriers like border walls. Trump was building border walls, and Biden ended up tearing them down. And increased patrols, believing such measures are essential to maintaining the rule of law and protecting the country's borders. Now, let me give you a few examples of why illegal immigration needs to be, we need to get a handle on it. Yesterday, Homeland Security arrested 8 terrorists with ISIS connections.
Tajikistan.
One in L.A., one in P.A., and the rest in New York City. And they had intercepted chatter about bomb building. Let me give you another example of illegal immigration. The Tsarnaev brothers, the Boston Marathon bombers in 2013. Now, Tamerlan Tsarnaev, who became known as Speed Bump, he's the one that got run over and killed by his brother after he was shot up by the cops. He was denied citizenship. He was here illegally. He was denied citizenship because of a domestic violence incident. And let's face it, the reason that Biden wants all these people here, and the Democrats, it's not only Sleepy Joe, it's all the Democrats. They're a voting base. That's it. Period. End of story. And I'll leave you with this before I pass it off. I'm handing it off. They don't give a shit about the legal immigrants either. Okay.
No, not at all.
All they care about is the vote. That's it. Period. End of story.
Yep. Hey, Nomad, you out there, buddy?
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you, guys. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Thanks for joining us on a very important topic, I think, which is going to become more to the front of discussions as we get closer to November. But absolutely, yeah, I'm here. I have many opinions on it. I'm a legal immigrant that came here legally and did it the correct way. And I can't tell you enough. I can't put into words enough how pissed I am and when I see what's happening around me. And the first thing. And the second thing is how it is disrespecting the country I chose. And then after that, how both political parties have completely, as Rennie has said, completely ignored legal immigrants because there's no political gain in doing anything for them because they already are law-abiding by virtue of how they're approaching citizenship and doing things the right way. But every politician in this country, we elect and we get what we elect. We deserve what we elect. And I have an opinion in particular with something that might trigger a little bit of a change between what you have as minorities now and what minorities are going to be classed as in the foreseeable future. But we'll go into that a little bit later on. But yeah.
Okay. Okay, Nomad, since you did go through the whole process of becoming a legal immigrant here, can you kind of maybe explain to us and to our listeners how that works?
Yeah, there's a number of different routes. The one that everyone probably thinks about immediately would be the one through marriage. So the spouse being a U.S. citizen, and that's one that people will actually probably go for or be most in the public's mind as a first option. The second option is there's different options, different classifications of visa. But the process primarily begins with you either being a spouse or you having some ability or something that is tangible or useful to the country. The other aspects can be through military service. It can be through sponsorship, through investment and different routes. But to cut it down to it, it all boils down to you having to be tracked, audited, and having to put in documentation and verify who you are, verify what you are, and then wait in line, pay through the nose for it. And then as you're waiting, you'll see people pass you by who don't care or don't do it. And my process took, I had a combination of mine. I had a skill set and and I was also married to a U.S. citizen. And I didn't actually consider coming here at all. I had been offered citizenship by an entity through working as a contractor from Uncle Sam 3 times before I decided to take it. And when I did take it, I took it at a time when I thought it was going to have the least amount of interference with my life. I want to be able to dedicate and be clear enough to be an American, to all encompass everything that means. And what I mean by this was I was working Mideast at the time. And if you had a US passport in certain parts of Mideast, you've got a target on your back. So travel difficulties and other stuff. When you're a contractor, you're responsible for your own security and lots of other things. And you've got to think about the larger aspect of your personal security of any family or extended family you have. I have no family here in the US. So I'm here on my own. And so I don't have anybody to tell me, oh, you're here because you want to bring such and such in. No, my 2 kids in Europe have decided not to come to America because they've seen how much it's gone down the pan, and they've made a conscious decision to not come here under the present administration.
Yeah, I can't say I blame them in the least.
Yeah.
I have a backup location in another country for myself, and yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah.
Just in case. Rennie, what do you think concerning the illegal aspect here? Because that's going to be what you're covering tonight.
Before I give my next comment, let me say if anybody knows anybody that needs to be a citizen and she's fairly good looking, I'm available to help out.
Yeah, Yeah, you can't say that, buddy. That's-
Anyway, listen, legal immigration in the United States, it's as we can see just by watching TV, it's deeply, deeply polarizing. It evokes a spectrum of emotions and opinions that usually are not favorable to anybody, reflecting diverse perspectiveness on economics, security, and humanitarian concerns, and the mother of all milk, politics.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, Nomad, I got a question for you. You said that. Let me see where I'm going with this here. I disregard. I lost my train of thought. Just went completely off the track.
Let me jump in with something.
Okay.
Let me jump in with something if it's okay.
Please save me.
Okay. Okay. When you consider the costs of going through the applications, getting documentation done, the medical stuff that's done by a U.S. Approved doctor, there's maybe 2 or 3 only, maybe in a country or a region, that can actually do stuff that is conducive and acceptable to the U.S. government. From a health point of view, you do your background, you do your medical, you do a financial, they do a personal research on you. If you come from a country where there has been a terrorist incident or historical experience, you go through more scrutiny, which you would expect. So the same system that protects us also frustrates us. But equally, if you step up and say, I want to raise my right hand and follow the red, white, and blue, you should be prepared to put yourself out there.
Right.
Then the actual costs roughly would be about $3,000 to $4,000 per person, and then anything from $6,000 to $15,000 for an attorney. So you invest a lot of money in a hope that you'll get it. And with the legal immigration, you have to wait for a visa to come up. It's almost, you can have a lottery where they'll announce green cards. Green card holders are also called LPRs, which are lawful permanent residents. They've primarily got nearly the same amount of rights as a U.S. citizen, except they can't vote, obviously. They can't go for office. They can't hold a federal or state job. They can't do certain things. But for the most part, they have the same things. After 90 days, they can apply for a concealed weapons permit. So there's a whole different diaspora and spectrum of benefits that a citizen has. But once you become a citizen, you're talking a timeline of maybe 10 to 18 months, roughly, depending on which consulate you have to go through or whatever. I came via Europe from the Mideast. Just before I came to the States, I came via India, Mideast, into the Balkans, back into old Europe, and then came into the US. And a visa comes up, they put you forward. The National Visa Center will then contact, in the US, will contact the equivalent consulate or embassy in your host country, in your home country. You'll attend an interview, and even then the interview is not a guarantee. And now Biden has changed it, in fact, since my time, 15 years ago, that you basically have the consular officer now has the discretion to grant somebody something, whereas before they had to go through a process internally from a supervisory or a double check, and now it's getting easier from certain countries to come in. So the process is lengthy. It's invested personally, financially, and they know everything about you. You'll go through more background checks as a green card holder than you will for a law enforcement job here in the U.S.
Okay, that was going to be a question that I had for you. I'm back. My train is back on the tracks again, the rails. Let's say Rennie went to anythingforagreencard.com and found a cute Lithuanian bride who's caught his attention, and she in turn has caught his because the striking example of manhood that he is and all.
I mean, come on, look at the jawline on him.
I know, right? Then that little fuzzy thing on the bottom. Anyway,
Listen, jealousy will get you nowhere, okay?
My question being, what safeguards are in effect to keep that from happening?
Is it for me for
I'm sorry,
Nomad?
buddy. It's for you.
Oh yeah, sorry, no problem, sir. Yeah, it used to be a little bit more lax. It's a lot more stringent right now. You have to come up with effectively bodies of evidence. You have to show evidence of a relationship, evidence of that the person who's going to sponsor the individual has to go through. Say for a K1 visa, which is a fiance visa, they got to have tax returns, bank statements, show they've got the ability that you do not become a public charge, or is the term, or a public burden. When someone sponsors someone to come in and get a green card, they may get a visa to enter. They then have a status. They may not have permission to work, so they get a work authorization card, or EAD, employment authorization card. And then from that point on, they may, after a certain period of time, depending on which type of residency they've got here, their green card may be for 1 year for the first year, or 2 years, and then green cards go from 2 years to 10 years. Within 10 years, if you're married for 3 years to a U.S. citizen, continuous habitation together, on the start of the 4th year, you can apply for citizenship through marriage. So that's it. But U.S. immigration, USCIS, have gotten much tighter now. And here's the problem, and here's what spawned it, was online dating. There was too many people coming in. You can buy something on eBay, you can buy everything else online. So the safeguards are a little better than they were, but they still allow certain things. You have in every federal and every government, everything from local government to your federal level, you've got diversity and inclusiveness, that whole lot of nonsense. So they also they want to make sure that they've got every color of the rainbow represented when you have a citizenship ceremony. And if you saw a citizenship ceremony, it's a solemn ceremony. But I've seen a few since I've become a citizen, and they've diluted it down to more of something that is blasé. It's not taken seriously anymore. It's lost its value.
That's sad.
Lost its value.
I went with my wife. I went to her naturalization ceremony. It was one of the most emotionally moving things that I've ever been to. And I've been to a lot of weird shit, but not anymore though, huh? Wow, that's sad. Okay, I think we have a video up about migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border are transported to detention centers after Biden's executive orders. Let's see what's going on with that.
You have a baby.
Sarah, baby.
I have a baby.
Papá de ellos. ¿Papá? ¿Quién es ella? ¿Hermano de ti? Hay una fila. Cuando lleguen a la calle, espérenme ahí.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned as we attempt to commune with the devil.
So
Okay, so why only take this set of people and leave the rest behind? Is there a reason? Do you think that this is that they're doing it like this? Renee?
What's your question? You're gonna have to. What's your question? I can't hear you over the video. Yeah, go ahead and
Well,
sorry.
what's the question?
Y'all doing a good job of turning me into an asshole tonight. All right. Illegal immigrants at the U.S.-Mexico border are being transported to detention facilities. They're fucking criminals. They belong in a fucking detention facility. So what are we talking about?
Well, yeah. I think the difference is involving, especially in that video clip, was involving children. If they have children, it's a whole separate thing. They're trying to
Well,
keep families together.
fuck them. They're illegal too.
Well,
all right?
yeah.
Come
yeah.
on, give me a break.
Okay, that brings up a topic or another question that I had. Let's talk about anchor babies. Hey, Nomad, I know you got an opinion on this.
Yeah. Very few countries in the world would tolerate or allow the anchor baby thing going on. The nearest example was West Africans in the mid-90s to the mid-2000s trying to come to Europe via Spain, via Italy, and whatever. And all of a sudden, they would come and the lady might be, 2 months pregnant and not showing. But by the time she came into the detention center, once the kid was born or once she started to show, immediately her status was adjusted and they became an anchor baby. But the Europeans stopped it. The Europeans stopped it because they said, okay, you need to undergo a medical, right? So they use the medical situations a lot of the times to keep people out. And the softies, the lefties in the left in Europe said, well, it's unfair, it's racism, we're all a global community. No, we're not. A country has a border for a reason. Totally agree. Number two, if you're unknown, if it's unknown, it's either known or unknown. If it's unknown, you keep them the hell out. The French would not allow anything cross that channel. The French police, the gendarmes, they will come down and they still do it to this day. There are French officers on English soil and English officers on French soil. And they will go to the beaches and they will tear those camps up. They will rip the boats. They will do stuff. They say, we know what you're doing here because it all goes down to benefits, not just political, but benefits. The illegal immigrants, the coyotes, the equivalent of Europeans, they use anchor babies, but there's no checking on the border done, to my knowledge, right now in the US to show that the child belong to the person who's in company with them. So a lot of these kids are not their kids. They're not their kids.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There was a big controversy a few years ago where the Chinese government had set up birthing centers in Los Angeles and were bringing in illegals by the Connex box load, pregnant mothers, and then sending them into the birthing centers. And as soon as they had a baby, that made the baby a U.S. citizen. And then in turn, they could apply for their citizenship that way. I mean, come on, seriously? Listen, folks. Go ahead.
Well, they already know this, right? Because that was one of the first things that one of the women was saying while they were in line. She kept saying, I have a baby. I have a baby.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So they know this already.
Yep. Well, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I agree with Rainey only to the point where, fuck them, they're human beings. But I agree with Rainey that baby, no baby, illegally here.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
That's the point. Yep. That's the whole
point. And my
point.
next question, real quick, if someone can answer it, our viewers or the panel, is, a little bit is why some people fucking sneak into the country, man. $15,000 for a lawyer plus $6,000 for fucking paperwork.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's another. I was watching some other videos earlier too, and this is what the lawyers do: is immigration lawyers. Okay, they charge a lot of money for this to do it legally. It's not really necessary. You can easily manage all the paperwork that involves in legal immigration by yourself. My wife and I did it. It's not. Well, we all have. It's not that big of a deal.
No, it's not.
They're charging tens of thousands of dollars. Some idiot today was talking about the new waivers and amnesty program for spouses of U.S. citizen illegal spouses, and he was saying, well, we have to do this because sometimes it takes 10 years, to get through the paperwork. No, it doesn't.
Well, no, I literally know people that have came into the country. They're from Portugal, not Mexico, shit like that.
Yeah.
But they came here legally, and It took 7 years. And every time I talk to my friend, I'm like, hey, what's going on today? He's like, oh, I got to go see the lawyer. And he would suggest the little money finger things with his hand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's part of the problem
And I'm
too.
like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that in itself is an entire scam. That whole, all right, look, I think we can all agree, all of us here that are having this
And
discussion
I'm
tonight.
sorry I keep jumping in, and I'm just trying to give as much information that I know that I'm aware of. And some lawyers rip these people off. And
Yeah, they do.
there isn't a goddamn thing they can do about it. They rip
No.
them off.
Well, they're ripped off by the lawyers, by the cartels, by everybody involved in this, by their employers that do put them to work here, which is the point I was about to make. We can all agree, I think, everybody here tonight, that the entire immigration system is seriously broken and has been broken for decades. This didn't just happen in the last couple of years. The entire thing needs to be revamped. There's absolutely no reason that a young woman living in Colombia with a job and a couple of kids that wants to bring her kids to Disneyland in Florida can't get a tourist visa when she's a professional woman, has a career in a different country, and for some fucked up reason or another, she can't bring her kids to Disneyland because they're so afraid that she's going to overstay her tourist visa. Okay, and I have some personal experience with that, and it's just such bullshit. There's no reason for that kind of thing to happen. There's some easy fixes to this process, but our government just doesn't want to do it because, just as you said, Blaze, there's too much money involved at the back end of this between the lawyers and the politicians and what they're doing to all this now. Listen, folks, give us a call, okay? 508, I'm waiting for the number to come back, 508-974-4231, because we would love to get some different opinions. As Mr. B just said, the petitioners believe if someone else or an attorney or advocate would give more credence to this application for asylum. Yeah. The entire system needs to be burned to the ground and start over again. But that's probably not going to happen. So what do we do? Fellas, what do you think? Yeah, Rennie.
So here's why I'm glad the Republicans are not doing comprehensive immigration. Because there shouldn't be any strings attached to this, okay? There shouldn't be any amnesty or any dreamers or any doggers. They all need to be put on a fucking plane at Newark, flown back to the third world shithole that they came from, and get in line like everybody else and get vetted and start over, okay? That's the only way. Political ideology heavily influences opinions on legal immigration. Generally speaking, conservative Americans like me tend to favor stricter immigration enforcement and stronger border security. I support the policies like increased deportation and stringent measures about employers who hire undocumented workers. Because, like I said, comprehensive immigration, they want to grandfather everybody in that's here. All these millions of people that haven't been vetted, that are here sucking off the tit already. Get them the hell out. Let them fill out all the paperwork and come back and do it the right way. Or let's not fucking do it at all. Let's just keep going the way we're going, and let's just fight it out.
Yep. Well, that's what Europe is doing. They're starting to send all these immigrants back now. They're just loading them up on buses and getting them out of the country and returning them to their country of origin. And that's what we're going to have to do at some point, too. But part of the problem, though, like I said, there's too much money involved. There was a time, working task forces years ago, where we had a sudden influx of smugglers stealing each other's loads of people, not drugs, people, because there's more money in smuggling people than there is in smuggling drugs. And they were literally having shootouts, on the interstates, highways, between loads of smugglers. It was weird. But it's all about money, man. And until we cut off the funding for all this crap, it's going to keep happening. There in Mexico, the Mexican government puts out, they make a comic book because a lot of these folks, especially from farther south, can't read, right? But they can certainly understand pictures. So that they were being distributed comic books explaining how to get across the border, what to say to La Migra or Border Patrol if they made contact with them, where to find water stations as they were coming across the desert. And this is from the Mexican government. Nomad, what do you think, buddy?
Oh my God! Here we go.
Yeah, I know,
well,
right?
I tell you, I had reason professionally to go down with the nature of my job. I used to deal with what they used to call EAWs, European extradition warrants. So somebody who was a dual citizen or whatever did something in Europe and then it was also a U.S. citizen. If he decided to do something crazy here and he took off back to Europe, we'd go and snag him and bring him back. So the European system, their Europeans have a green card too, but it's a much different system. It's less complicated, less convoluted, less expensive, and it works. And it's simply you wait in line. What they do is they primarily put you into a category. It's screw your sensitivities. It's for the sake of governance. The second thing is the wokeness that we have that has infiltrated this. This is the other part of it. You have actually softened the population up, and I mean American population. The American voters have been softened up to accept anybody because they want to be the all.
Yep. Did we lose you, buddy? I think we might have lost Nomad. He's out in the sticks someplace tonight, so trying to work off of his telephone, so doing Nomad things.
So,
okay, but anyway, see if we get him back or not. We'll see. But,
some states like California, they're giving them driver's licenses.
Yeah,
and they're registering them to vote, and
yeah,
that's going to be problematic.
You can't do that. I mean, it doesn't make any difference. They're
doing it. They're doing
I know. That's the point.
And here's another thing: they're strategically placing them in certain parts of the state, so they can't win elections. What they're doing is they're creating more like Democratic congressional seats by placing these people here because the census, they're counted in the census. And so this is a whole lot of bad juju attached to all this.
There is. Okay, Nomad's back. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. Sorry, I lost the comms.
No worries.
Okay,
no worries.
Here, okay, make it quick and easy for you. What was once a minority is no longer the case anymore. USCIS have recategorized race, have recategorized what a minority is. Here's what's going to change immigration. It's not necessarily going to be about the pocket, or the pocket, yes, but the perception is if you can have in California and Nevada an illegal immigrant who does not speak English, does not have the ability to assimilate and fully immerse themselves in. The language of communication around the world is English. The language of government in this country is English, first primary. So you need to have English and your citizenship test. You know yourself, Frogman. You got to do a competency in reading, understanding, and you got to answer questions. You got to know the history. You got to be prepared to be American and embrace all things America. Secondly, when you're going to see what is once a minority, whether you're a hyphenated American, and when you can't get your SNAP or your WIC because an illegal guy is taking up the funding or the budget and you got less money for your 15 sticks with your WIC card, well, you pull into the back of your Lincoln Navigator because such and such guy comes from El Salvador or Honduras and he's coming up and he's getting $2.5 grand for free, an internal flight to anywhere in the country he wants to, a free cell phone with an app so he can check in. When it hits these guys, the minorities that we have, the people who think that they're minorities right now, the Democrats are replacing, I'm going to say it straight out, I'm going to get myself in trouble for saying this. They're replacing the black vote with the brown vote, and the brown vote that is illegal. And I'm going to tell you that's it right now. And prove it to me otherwise. Because guess what? The African-American community have been fooled for years by the Democrats, and they're waking up and they can't rely upon their vote, so they're going to bring in these other guys coming in, and that's what's going to happen.
Oh, there it is, the vote wheel.
Yep, you are correct. Yay!
Yes.
Yep, most definitely.
I've been saying that for like years on
Yeah.
network. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I've been coming right out. I'm like, look, I'm like, wake up. You know what I mean? That's the whole point, to gather, okay, the minority in black people and keep them fucking down. You don't need a father in your house, guys. You know what I mean? We'll pay you. You know what I mean? We'll fucking pay. Stay right there in that fucking project. don't make your life better. Don't do anything but continue to vote fucking Democrat.
Right. Yeah. You don't need an ID to vote or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's. Okay. Nomad. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay, quick one. Why? Listen, the color of an American is red, white, and blue. Doesn't matter a damn where you are. I don't understand why
Absolutely.
I don't see why people have a blind loyalty to any continent or country. Because the first thing you do is you give up where you came from. You're an American, yes or no. Your primary passport, your primary identity is American. Why the hell do we hyphenate our population? Italian American, Irish American, African American. I'm telling you right now, you can have heritage you can be proud of, but you're an American or you're not. And you're legal or you're not. And that's it. And nothing else in between.
Yep, you are correct. Yep. Yeah, take a look at Theodore Roosevelt's thoughts on immigration from Man in the Mirror. Because that's exactly what he says. No, you're either an American or you're not. End of story. Okay, let's take a look at what Africa's doing, or what Europe is doing to Africa. What England, what Great Britain is doing for Africans.
Days after adopting a law to deport irregular migrants to Rwanda, Britain has sent its first asylum seeker to the East African country, but as of now under a voluntary scheme. According to British media reports, the unnamed migrant was flown out of the country on Monday. The voluntary scheme is different from the forced deportation program Britain is about to implement in the next few months in a bid to deter asylum seekers from crossing the English Channel in small boats to stay in Britain. Under the voluntary scheme, the government will pay each asylum seekers up to $3,747 to go back to Rwanda, and this new agreement is part of an existing government policy in which asylum seekers are offered financial assistance to leave Britain. But under this plan, though, the illegal asylum seekers will get the money if they agree to live in Rwanda. The measure is being taken to relocate over 50,000 migrants who have arrived in the country since 2018. Many of them fled war or famine traveling through Europe to Britain. Under the forced deportation scheme, anyone arriving illegally in Britain after 1st of January 2022 will be eligible to be deported to Rwanda.
What the fuck? That's why are they paying immigrants to go back to the country that they came from in the first place?
It's incredibly fucking, I don't know.
That's like paying criminals not to commit crimes.
But what I do agree is exactly what the United States should do. Just like Rainey says, you see them, they came, they rounded them up, and they fucking brought them back.
Yeah, that's what should happen here also.
And that's it, except for paying them the $3,747. I mean,
I wouldn't pay him $3,747.
I
just stick a fucking 9mm. I just stick a 9mm in their face and tell them to get back in the boat.
Oh my God, you're Mr. B. Oh,
He's violent tonight. Hey, listen, what do you learned gentlemen think about what's going on with Europe right now? The reset and the immigration reset in Europe, because people are pissed. They're listening to the folks that live there. They're on the way back, man. Nomad, go ahead, buddy.
All right, very quick. Being European, here's what's happening. The soft left politics is gone. People are tired of it. It's costing them money. So what's happening is that every election in Europe between now and the end of next year is going to go conservative. It's going to go more right-wing. Not fascist, right-wing, more conservative. Every country now is going to become part of a jigsaw puzzle of Fortress Europe. It's more difficult to secure the UK, and the Brits can do it, and we can't secure a border. There's something wrong. Second thing is, here's the thing. The other aspect, which is part of the American culture, and I understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. People here have an aversion to carrying an identity card with them, right? Just because you're an American, and I'm an American now, so someone can take shots at me, that's fine, buddy, right? But here's the thing. I put a uniform on, so you can have an opinion. You can be a butthole, or you can be factual. Here's where we're at. most Europeans, all Europeans, must carry an identity card. If you're having ethnicities and minorities allegedly in this country who say carrying an identity card is a form of racism or part of positive discrimination, no, it's not. If you buy a 6-pack of beer, a pack of cigarettes, or board a bus or an aircraft, or put some money on a green dot card, or buy something, you must show some form of damn ID. Okay? So what's your problem with it? So when you have a national culture in each country that accepts you as being part of being a citizen of that country or being lawfully there, that you carry an identity card to verify who the hell you are, that is part of the problem we have here. We tend to think, because the rights we have in the Bill of Rights, we tend to think that we can do whatever we want. No, we can't. It's because we've been thinking we can do whatever we want has allowed this situation to happen. And the politicians we have are vested in this being as it is. None of them are interested in fixing this because they can tap into a whole stream of revenue. But
exactly.
A national ID card is what we need here. We just need it.
Mexico has been using those for decades, forever. Mexico has a national ID card, by the way. It's also a voter registration card. You know, why? And it's very technologically advanced. You know, there's holographs and everything else on these national Mexican ID cards. Why is it such a problem here? Like you said. Okay, let's take a look at UK deportation flights.
The first flight will leave in 10 to 12 weeks. This is one of the most complex operational endeavours the Home Office has carried out. But we are ready. Plans are in place. And these flights will go come what may. No foreign court will stop us from getting flights off.
Every person who moved to the UK must be cautious because the government is now deploying police to apprehend those deemed illegal migrants. Following Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's announcement weeks ago, the first flight for deportation is imminent. It's important to consider what comes next. The deportation bill applies to both legal and illegal migrants, as confirmed by the Home Office in recent days. This indicates a decline in numbers, particularly among care workers. If your visa in the UK has expired, if you've been jobless since your care company's licence got revoked, or if you're an asylum seeker, this update is crucial for you. Stay tuned as we provide the latest on UK immigration. The government has begun arresting migrants for deportation. I'll provide detailed insights into these new updates, particularly focusing on whom the UK government is targeting in these recent arrests. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to our channel Travel Abroad Migration for daily updates on UK visas and immigration. Without any more delays, let's jump right into the video. British authorities have initiated a series of operations to detain migrants, gearing up for their deportation to Rwanda as part of Prime Minister Rashek's flagship immigration policy. The UK Home Office released a video on Wednesday depicting armed immigration officers handcuffing individuals at their homes and escorting them for deportation. In a statement, the UK government announced a series of nationwide operations preceding the first deportations set to commence in the next 9 to 11 weeks. Interior Minister James Cleverly emphasised that enforcement teams were diligently working to swiftly detain those without the right to be in the country, facilitating flight departures. Sunak, expected to call an election later this year, reiterated that the flagship immigration policy aims to discourage crossings of the English Channel. However, unions and human rights charities have expressed dismay at the ongoing wave of arrests. While some have managed to block transfers to removal centres, they report increasing difficulty in initiating legal actions. The campaign of mass arrests targets a specific group, as announced by the Home Office. This initial cohort comprises approximately 5,700 men and women who arrived in the UK without prior permission between January 2022 and June 2023. Individuals falling within this category have received a notice of intent, indicating that they are being considered for deportation on the first flight. However, Recent revelations indicate that government data reveals a concerning trend. The Home Office has lost contact with thousands of potential deportees. Only 2,143 individuals have been located for detention thus far, leaving more than 3,500
Well, what do they expect
unaccounted for.
when they just sent them a
Some of
letter
them
saying,
have
"Hey, we're going to
fled across
deport
the
you"?
Northern
I'd
Irish
fucking run
border
away
into
too.
Ireland,
Well,
while
yeah.
others include individuals who have failed to attend mandatory appointments with UK authorities. Ministers have emphasised that enforcement teams will continue their efforts to locate them. Several migrants who did attempt compulsory appointments with UK authorities as part of their asylum applications this week have been arrested and are slated to be on the first deportation flight. The government has not disclosed precise figures for the number of arrests made since the operation commenced on Monday. Detentions have been reported across the UK, spanning England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, including cities like Bristol, Liverpool, Birmingham, and Glasgow. Can legal action halt the deportations? The Conservative Party's plan to deport immigrants who entered the UK without permission has encountered over 2 years of legal hurdles and political disputes between the two houses of Parliament. In June 2022, the first flight intended to transport refugees to Rwanda was cancelled at the 11th hour by the European Court of Human Rights, ECHR. Last year, the UK Supreme Court ruled the deportation scheme unlawful, citing the government's inability to ensure the safety of migrants upon their arrival in Rwanda.
Okay.
On Wednesday, the Senior Civil Servants Union FDA submitted an application for a judicial review against the government's Rwanda plan. They argue that it places their members at risk of breaching international law if they comply with a minister's demands. Faytonby noted that appeals could also be lodged at the European Court of Human Rights. However, this process is time-consuming and unlikely to prevent someone from being relocated to Rwanda in the interim. It remains to be seen how this situation will unfold, particularly whether the bill will be cancelled by the European Court of Human Rights. As of now, the Prime Minister has announced that it cannot be ruled out by the court, implying that the bill stands for the time being. If your visa has expired in the UK, or if you've been jobless since your care company's licence was revoked, or if you're an asylum seeker, it's crucial to stay informed about these developments. We hope this information has been helpful.
Okay. Nomad made an excellent point while that was going on, in that there are no special benefits for legal immigrants that come into this country. But if you enter here in the United States illegally, they roll out a red carpet for you. You want to expand on that, Nomad?
Yes, buddy. Thank you. When you become an LPR, a lawful permanent resident, you cannot be what they call a public charge. You cannot cost the U.S. taxpayer or government any money. You cannot cost them any money. You must be able to support yourself if you're coming in on that type of route. If you're being sponsored even by a spouse, they're responsible for you. So basically, if you were with someone and they sponsored you, okay, and you maintained your green card but did not become a citizen, they're still responsible for you for up to 10 years. So it goes on 40 quarters, it goes on your tax returns. But here's the other thing: if you come in illegally, you bypass all of that. So what they paid for the coyote to bring him in, or from wherever they came from, 15, 20 grand, is about the same cost of doing it lawfully. Now, the end of my paperwork, I did myself, like in your instance, Fogman, and I tell you, I had it done. It was no drama, and there was probably more. I had more problems trying to put together flat pack furniture than I did actually putting in the actual immigration paperwork. There's no problem with this. None.
That's an excellent point. Rennie, you got to jump in on there?
Yeah, so I'm going to make a comment, and then I'm going to throw the bullshit flag for 15 yards and call it back. So the humanitarian viewpoint also encompasses support for dreamers, which I mentioned earlier.
Nice.
Young individuals who were brought into the U.S. as children have grown up in the country. Many Americans believe that these individuals should be allowed to stay and contribute to society, given the fact that the U.S. is the only home we've ever known. So now I'm throwing the bullshit flag. 15 yards. Let's call it back. Like I said earlier, legal or illegal, they don't care about you as an individual or a group. Okay? All they care about is throwing money at the illegals. So on November 5th, they can go and check the box for Biden and Harris. Period. End story. I'm finished.
Yep, you are correct. All right, guys. Well, we're going to keep this going for a while, or you want to start wrapping it up?
We have something to talk about. Let's keep going.
All right. Yeah, we do. I mentioned earlier about Theodore Roosevelt on immigration. I don't have a lot of heroes and that are politicians. Actually, I don't have any heroes or politicians. But TR, though, has always caught my attention just because of some of the things that he has done. Let me see if I can find this here real quick. I found it interesting that his speech is Theodore Roosevelt's ideas on immigrants and being an American in 1907. I'm going to go ahead and read this real quick, so bear with me. In the first place, we should insist that if the immigrant who comes here in good faith becomes an American and assimilates himself to us, he shall be treated with an exact equality with everyone else. For it is an outrage to discriminate against any such man because of creed or birthplace or origin. But this is predicated upon the person becoming in every facet an American and nothing but an American. There can be no divided allegiance here. Any man who says he's an American, but something else also, isn't an American at all. We have room for but one flag, the American flag. We have room for but one language here, and that is the English language. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that is the loyalty to the American people. Theodore Roosevelt, 1907. I found it rather interesting that somebody sent that to Snopes for a fact check, and they returned it as true. So there's no bullshit involved, and he's completely correct.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, 100%. I agree with that. I agree with him.
Yeah, Nomad, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, okay. I might do a Rennie on this now by saying what I'm going to say, but here I am. I think the country has lost what being an American is. They've lost the sense of what an American is. There's people having a blind loyalty to they're more concerned with a hairdo, a hairstyle, or a type of music, or a type of food, or whatever, or a way of dressing, and that themselves is their identity. No, you identify first as an American. You should always be proud of your heritage. But you must remember, if you're born and bred here, you're an American. You're not any other hyphenated version of an American. Number two, if you have your heritage, be proud of that. Be absolutely proud of that. But don't use that as a way to divide people around you. People are passively bullying people by virtue of the fact is that, you know, I had a situation. I'll talk something I shouldn't talk about. I'm going to say it. I don't care. I'm going to say the damn thing. I witnessed two people today while we're in an airport arguing who was the better example of one particular ethnicity. One, because one person didn't conform to the trend right now, and the other person was saying, well, I'm 70 plus years of age and I never did that when I was your age, not because of civil rights, but because, one, I can't afford that hairdo, and number two, it's uncomfortable in the heat of where we're living. And they went into a very public argument between two people. I'm going, my good God, what they've just thrown in their trash can, what they wear on their feet, the clothes on their back, a person who's coming here to this country will give their left arm just to have the value in dollars what they're wearing. And they were more concerned about showing off and shutting themselves down. My point is, we have diluted what an American is, and we've done it for years, and so we are already now conditioned to accept anybody who comes in is immediately an American. No, you're not. You're not. Just
Yep.
because you're here
Yep.
doesn't mean that you're an American or you're legal. That's the problem. That's the problem. No one wants to upset anybody, and the politicians won't upset anybody because they want your vote. It's like the 3 months before a local election, the roads get fixed, the grass gets cut, the buildings get painted.
Right.
Any tin pot country, whether it's the Philippines, South America, Africa, the politicians will do all the crap before the elections so they get something done. Just watch what happens. Gas prices are coming down right now. We're going to have the student loan crap coming on again. And immigration. You mentioned DACA, Rennie. I firmly believe a child cannot be held responsible for the actions of that. But let me say something. A child 10 years ago coming in is a different child coming into the country now in 2024. Look at that picture you showed, that video you showed of those kids at that border. You telling me they walked across the desert for 4 or 5 weeks or days? None of them are dirty. None of them are malnutrition. None of them are dehydrated. And we've got people in the streets of every city and town in this country that have no food on the table, can't pay their damn bills, and we're supporting people who come in and take stuff. If we allow this to happen, we're going to be broke from the inside out. We have a Trojan horse mentality when it comes to immigration. Say no more.
Yep. When it's not only taking stuff, it's being given to them. You know, how many show up with new iPhones, for example? Where the hell did they get those from? You know, that's a great example. And I think, well, I personally picked up bodies of illegal immigrants out in the desert, where they either starved or were dehydrated or left out there by the cartels to die. They sure as hell didn't look like that. You know, with new clothes, new shoes, and all the rest of that shit. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's a mess all the way around. But all right, so what's the end game, guys? Do you think this is the support of politicians for votes? I mean, is that kind of the end game? And this is my opinion. We'll see if you guys agree with this or not. My thought is that they're going to at some point give them all blanket amnesty and make them all citizens. They're going to say this problem it's going to be like another too big to fail. This problem is too big to fix in any other way. We're just going to say, if you're here in America, we're just going to make you an American citizen. And here's your green card, and here's your citizenship papers, and here's your voter here's your registration or register for Democrat and vote. Is that the reason behind all of this?
That's the end game. Yeah. Nothing more, nothing less.
No, man.
I think the end game is one political, but I think more than anything else as well, it's also about labor costs. Because you're talking about, if you look where the majority of illegal immigrants are there, they're in primarily blue states. They're in states which primarily allow that to happen. Secondly, and more importantly, the minorities that we had 10, 15 years ago now that were classed in the US Census has changed again. Example, if you're African now, if you're North African now, it no longer means that you have a dark skin tone. It covers everything that can be pinky white, Israel, Egypt, right across the top. And so the old color card that they used to use became the race card of the mid-80s to mid-90s, which morphed into what we have right now. So what I'm saying is, it's not really about the vote. It's about production and facility. What's going to show it is this. When you have people who have been the traditional voting blocks for either party, Democrat or Republican, figure out that their schools are no longer teaching English, no longer teaching American values, no longer pledging allegiance to the flag, removing God, in God we trust, which is on everything we have. When you start removing and dismantling all the things that were once American, that's it. You start with the schools, and you make everybody accountable. If you can't verify who you are, put them somewhere where they're in a holding pattern. And deportation won't work. It costs too much money. It costs logistics-wise too much money. The simplest way is through the tax system and through benefits. And basically, if you're here illegally, you pay more tax than a U.S. citizen does. If you're costing more resources, you owe us. You owe me. every freaking illegal that walks down the street past me owes me money. That's where I look at it right now. Because if I get sick in the morning, I may not have Medicare when I need it because you've taken all the gas in the tank and you've sucked everything out of it. Last thing, last problem, I promise, last point. These communities stay with themselves. They do not mix. They do not assimilate. You'll have it from, respectfully, from Central and South American. You'll have it within other. There's cultures where they do not snitch. That's fine. But those that are here of Hispanic descent are being disingenuously misrepresented and suffering the same as the illegals. The illegals and legals are treated the same way by people. So what's happening is those that have a heritage, I have buddies in Texas who are Mexican heritage, but they're born and bred in the US and they're treated like an illegal immigrant when they go into their store. So we've got to do a better job of educating that. And if you're an American, show that you're an American. Don't have a blind alliance to a continent that your people came from 400 years ago, where your own people sold you, or if you come through the southern border, that you came from a Mayan or an Aztec or whatever culture you had. But once you come in through the door into this country, you must come in. You must be invited, you must be verified, and you must be prepared to contribute to this country, which is giving you the damn chance. Because if you weren't wanting to be an American, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yep, you are exactly 100% correct. And we got to stop hyphenating everything. And that includes this LIGBTQA plus XYMZ nonsense. You are not an American hyphenated LIGBTQX. You are, well, never mind. I'm just going to stop now on that. Okay.
Hey, I just want to make one quick point on what Nomad said about American values going out the window. Here in my hand is a quarter I'm holding up. George Washington's face, 1921. I'm 2021. I'm sorry. His face is facing "In God We Trust." Here I have a quarter with a date of 2022. He's facing away from "In God We Trust." So
that's interesting.
The American value, Nomad hit the nail on the head, is out the window. It's in the trash can. And until we recoup that, we're just going to be a nation of shitheads and fucking people walking around with your fucking handout and stealing from your fucking neighbor and everything else.
Yeah. Is that your final thoughts there, guys?
Amen.
Okay. Amen.
Praise God.
All right. All right, folks. So I'm going to go ahead and take us out then. It's been an interesting discussion tonight. What we've determined is that immigration versus illegal immigration is definitely a problem. And there's really no sign of fixing it on the future. I only hope as a nation we can get our shit together and figure out what we're doing. So on that, I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight. As always, keep the ones you love close. Give them a big hug. Be prepared to self-rescue. Thank you for joining us here with i12 GIA here on the FFN network with Rennie, Nomad, and myself, Fogman. And we'll see you again next time. Good night, folks.
Peace.
Out. Night.
Good night.
Well, I thought I was ready to say good night.
Good night.
Maybe we're not.
God bless America. Keep it American.
Yeah, remember Made in America? That whole advertising campaign?
Yeah.
I did, guys. Yeah. Well,
apparently, for some strange reason, we can't seem to get out tonight. So I guess we're just going to have to keep talking. Anything else you guys want to talk about? I'm not sure what happened.
Hunter Biden.
Oh my God!
Do you know what? Do you know what I heard today? I'm sorry, guys. I heard a thing on NPR, National Propaganda Radio. I heard today there are many Hunter Bidens around, and I discovered something. Most of these news announcers or editorial staff have double-barrel names, right? Secondly, what they've got is they're saying there are many Hunter Bidens in the country. We should all feel sorry for the Hunter Bidens that we know. No, we should not. No, we should not. You're a freaking felon with a firearm. That's it, buddy. That's it. That's it. You're quicker to throw the same. They threw felony around that word felon last week around like a frisbee last week, and all of a sudden this week they're in their damn feelings.
The White House come out with a statement today saying that pardon or a sentence commutation is not out of the question.
Yeah, I saw it earlier too.
We knew that was coming.
Yeah, guys, I'm not sure what. Apparently, we've had some kind of a major malfunction on the production end of things, and that's entire.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm here.
Okay. So, what happened, or what's going on? What are we doing?
Everything just crashed.
Okay.
And what is that background noise?
No idea.
Oh,
well, turn that shit off.
So, yeah, I'm just sitting here, and you crash, he crashed, and I'm looking at you, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I was just gonna say to myself, they both can't fucking crash at the same time.
Boy,
and then all of a sudden, my monitors went out, my board went out. Fucking, I'm looking, and I can see my modem, and it's flashing orange, and
wow,
yeah, I'm like, I just sent a text in the group text. If you guys see it,
yeah,
like,
I got that.
I said, should I be aware of black SUVs or what, man?
And I said black helicopters, but
yeah, I didn't get a chance to read that. I was still a little bit fucking shook up, man. I was like, what the hell?
So are we still live, or what's going on?
Yeah, we're live, and